Call the meeting to order, the Griggs County Commission. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do you hear from Sean?
Sean's way to Denver.
Oh, guess he won't be here. Take roll. John. Here. Dale.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Sean is gone. Troy's here. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? I'm sorry.
The water board would like you to add something for them. It is. Shoot, I'm sorry.
It's a small track excavator.
That.
To trade the wheeled excavator or backhoe that we have.
The water board has an excavator?
No, that county has. That the wheel type backhoe that we have.
Somebody better come and give us a little more information at another meeting.
Well, that's what we have now with the road department is a tire type backhoe.
Yeah.
And they'd like to see us go to something the same size except with tracks, so they could clean out in front of the culverts that are giving us issues. That they could get down in and clean some. They're talking about this morning.
Nobody talked to you?
I don't think so.
Well,
It's right here. Hold on. I got an email. But the internet was just down.
Rubber-tired backhoe is something you can just drive around. You don't have to.
Yes.
Yeah. Besides that, it's a loader.
The Griggs County Water Board made a motion today to recommend that it is urgent that the county commission trade in the rubber-tired hoe and replace it with a mini rubber track hoe to start cleaning culverts on county roads. Please, could you please add this to the agenda today?
No, we're not going to add it to the agenda.
That's a budget item, and they don't own the current backhoe.
Okay.
And they're separate entities.
Okay.
Give them an A for effort.
Could use one in addition to it.
There goes your bobcat.
Yeah. That's going.
If they wish, they'll have to come and address it.
I mean, they can put it in their budget.
Yeah, no doubt.
They can't take it out of Wade's inventory, though. Any other changes or additions or corrections to the agenda?
The only other thing that was changed between what I sent you last night and what you got today is Nelson Griggs will be, the health department will be on next month's or next meeting's
24th.
agenda.
Okay. Anything else?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Been moved by Dale to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting minutes. One thing I see here on page 3,
Yes.
when we discussed the Cooperstown Medical Center at the last meeting, I believe.
Big one.
If you go into the auditor's one too. Say that again. I'm sorry.
I gave you a list of things that I would want it to
Okay. Yep.
be provided prior to today's meeting, not at today's meeting.
Okay.
Do you have that list?
Yep. I do.
Okay, what was it?
It's in my office. The list. It was. But I can put that list in here. I have it. listened to the recording and got exactly word for word what you wanted, so I can put that in here.
Okay.
Wait. So can I say, commission would like them to come to the next meeting? Okay. And you don't want me to say with the following documentation? You want, and send,
No, we specifically asked to have documentation ahead of time. And I thought one of the things that was on that list was a feasibility study, but I can't remember.
okay. Do you want me to go grab the,
Just didn't jog my memory.
okay,
There's nothing in here.
okay. Do you want me to go grab that list really quick?
No, that's fine.
No, okay.
Does anybody else have anything, additions or corrections to the minutes from the meeting on the 20th?
I'm good.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Mark to approve the meeting minutes from July 20th as amended. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Take a look at the special meeting from July 27th. The only agenda item was the budget, of course. So.
Motion to approve the July 27th meeting minutes.
Been moved by Dale to approve the July 27th meeting minutes and dispense with the reading. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to the bills.
Page 8, $275 for weed dues.
Which page? Dues.
North Dakota Weed Control Association. Didn't know there was one.
No, if there is one, I'm not sure why we should be a member of it. But
Unless they have some publications that they make available to producers. Got any idea when? So that would be something,
This came from Megan, I do believe.
right?
I don't know what it is.
Pardon?
I don't know what it is, I guess I never belonged to the Weed Association.
Have we before?
I don't know if there
Never?
was that.
I don't know if you have before, but I know you guys haven't for a little while.
is that within the,
Weed budget?
The weed budget is just a lump sum. You guys didn't itemize it out. You guys just kind of put a number in there to get it to the,
Oh, because
4
it's the
mils.
minimum of 3 mils.
yeah, the 3 mils.
you found it?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to withhold payment on that until we can get Megan's input on it.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'm sure I've been told this before. What's a 911 siren expense for $1,850?
That's a fee that's collected by the state every month for the integrated whatever.
Oh, the radio system.
That state.
Is that state radio?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they put that fee on to try to collect money to make that so everybody's integrated together on radio systems.
For digital radios?
Pardon?
For
So they go digital?
Right.
Yeah, so they're working on some new, I don't know exactly what the means is gonna be, if it's computers or radios or whatever. That's 50 cents per phone line
Yeah.
per month. We just pay it back.
Had the legislature create a surcharge for each phone call and then create an agency to collect fees for the surcharges.
That's with the $2, that's why there's $2 in your
Phone bill
phone
every
bills.
month.
50 cents is the center.
anything else?
I don't see anything else.
Motion to approve the bills minus the Weed Control Association dues. Moved by Dale,
Second.
seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Monthly office reports.
Mr. Wakefield.
Oh! Yeah, I'm not gonna lower that. Don't answer to Mr. Where you work.
Are there any questions on the monthly office reports?
Motion to approve.
Been moved by Mark to approve the monthly office reports. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Wayne?
Yeah, Mr. Paul Bjornson here from KLJ. We went out, looked at the bridge. Give a little update on, or the box culvert. Sorry.
Yeah, former bridge, I guess. Looks like everything's pretty well done. The only punch list item I really saw was about, I guess we threw about 3 dozen rocks, varying in size from 6 inches to 12 probably into the riprap, so those are cleaned up. And then, they do have to come back and grout the, there's these big holes in the wing walls that they need to come back and fill. But other than that, their quality tests were all good and beat us or anything.
I think they opened it a day before they were had to.
It was right on the edge.
They were still working on the
gravel. Yeah.
Yeah. But
and then we had to. They brought 8 loads the first day, and they thought they were done. So we had to call them up and tell them that they needed to get the plant quantity on the gravel thickness. They brought 4 more the next day.
Oh.
So that was about the only issue. They did go outside the right of way a bit on their topsoil stockpile area, and they did reseed that. So. Mulched it and everything. And that one's, let's see, we haven't processed the payments through cars yet. They still need to provide some documentation on quantities of the borrow material that went in. They scaled it and they agreed verbally to accept payment for that based on a conversion from that to cubic yards, which was easier for everybody. And they haven't sent us the quantity of tons yet.
They bought material from Carlson's?
Or from Lakeside.
Oh, they hauled it from somewhere else. They didn't
Yeah.
get it on site. Oh, okay.
No, they hauled it in. They scaled it
Okay.
at their plant or their pit there. And since it was coming from piles, it was easier to scale it than it was to
I see.
survey it.
I get it.
And that gives us a much better quantity to work with. I mean, more accurate quantity
Sure.
to work with too.
Okay.
So we'll be seeing bills for those in the coming months.
I have a request to be able to purchase 20 gallons of Tordon, so we can go over some of the spots that were mowed right after we sprayed them the first time.
Don't you have money in your budget?
Well, it goes to the weed budget.
Yeah. I think we pointed you in charge of that, didn't we?
I mean, I think it's in the. You just need to talk to Megan. I think it's the money is in there.
And there's money there, but it's just.
I'll make a motion to allow them to purchase 20 gallons of
Okay.
Okay.
Been moved by John to approve the purchase of 20 gallons of Tordons. Or second the motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded by
We're
Mark.
gonna get some Aquastar or Aquamax for the cattails to some of the intersections and stuff.
Sure.
Helped last year, so.
It's just Roundup that doesn't have a surfactant in it.
Yeah.
Then they can spray it over water, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, other than that, we've been graveling.
We better have a vote.
Graveling, we sealed a few cracks on the Sutton Road.
Is there any
2 miles.
further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John.
Aye.
Dale.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, go ahead.
There we go. Just a little update, we are graveling, we were sealing cracks and it got so hot, so they hold off till next week. Start again, they did 2 miles of the Sutton Road one day, so. Going back and forth. And I talked to the contractor and the carpenter for the building metal, and we'll be doing it either in the end of August or the first part of September.
That's cash and carry.
Yeah. When we had one door, one of our Midland doors started sucking together in
They
the area
forgot.
where there's windows.
Yeah.
And so we called them and they came out.
Put a new panel in there.
They're going to replace 2 panels. They think when they processed or made the door, they didn't get enough foam in that one section. So
Sounds like
started-
it. Because that's a 3-inch door, right?
How many totes of oil did we get? 5 or 6?
I got 6.
6. How many have you used so far?
1.
1? So we should get quite a ways then before.
Well, in that section, we went 2 miles with 1 tote.
Deal.
Because it depends on the road.
Yep. Yep. Well, it'll be worse in some spots and better in others.
I did sign up 1 plate operator for a plating class next week. Just one day.
You've done that before.
Yep.
Is that down Valley?
This is over in Steele County.
Oh,
Maybe a guy that's gonna come out there and site. A guy from Binford, Jeff.
okay.
Does everybody on the county? I know you said Jeff doesn't have a CDL.
The only one that doesn't have a CDL.
Is Jeff?
And
And you?
that's it, I guess.
Okay, any questions for Wayne? Okay, thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you. The next thing on there is the hospital. Or care center, facility, project, presentation, whatever.
Okay. Well, for those of you that maybe don't know me, I'm Nikki Johnson. Yep. I'm Nikki Johnson. I am the CEO of the hospital and care center. Just going to hand out some some booklets on the plans that we have that we've been working on for the facility as far as location and what that facility looks like. But mostly wanted to thank you for letting us come to your meeting, and we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the letter that we sent you and had put on your agenda for the last meeting, and talk a little bit about what that's all about. And then I've got Denny Getz, a board member, and Mark Martin's another board member, and then Barbara Anderson, our CFO, to help answer any questions that you may have about the project. We had, with the involvement with the USDA as far as financing for the project, we are having to show that we have community support, or at least non-opposition to us vacating our current location and providing medical services out of a new facility at a different location. And so if you have that letter in front of you, that's really what that letter is about. It's not anything asking for any money or anything like that. It's just purely asking for the support of the facility on the project, and a signature on that from you. We have gotten some of those back. We sent them out to all of the area communities and commissions. We got ours back from Steele County. We've gotten one back from the city of Cooperstown, and we had Annetta return theirs as well. So we're just in the process of starting to collect those. So that's really what the purpose of that letter was for you. We just wanted to be able to answer any questions that you might have about the project. To note, in that packet of information we sent you, we did include that feasibility study that you were asking about. It starts on about page, that's part of it right there.
Yeah, there's no page numbers on it.
Yeah, there isn't page numbers. It's where the top of it, we gave you our financial information. It's the first page that says Cooperstown Medical Center and subsidiary consolidated forecast balance sheets. That's the beginning of the financial feasibility study, which we had done.
You only ran pro forma projections for 4 years on a $26 million 35-year project?
Let me start. My first board meeting with CMC was March 28th of 2018.
Okay.
So I'm pretty
And they still dumped it on your lap?
I'm still pretty new to this process. At that board meeting, we were provided with this feasibility study from Ike Bailey, just to see, because what we went through that day was a day-long conversation about what should we do, because the old hospital building needs a lot of work.
What's a lot of work?
Things that the engineer found, the sewer lines are going bad. The sewer lines go down the middle of the hallways underneath the nursing home. The boiler needs to be completely replaced. The roof needs completely new roof. So you start looking at that, the engineer, and you know, anytime you start doing a remodel job, once you tear a wall open, something like that, then you have to bring everything up to code. There's new healthcare codes out that you start doing that. The engineer, working with an architect to bring it up to speed, said it's about $23 million cost to bring everything up to speed. on the old building.
Can we talk about that a minute? I'm just looking at page 29 here, the estimated cost of renovating the current facilities. The mechanical and electrical is what you're talking about, I assume, the sewer, yeah. That's $2.9 million.
Yep.
And then you're remodeling the exterior, remodeling, architectural, cosmetic remodel of the facility. Then the mobilization, general requirements, overhead, location factor, occupied building staging, and contingency staging is all dependent on whether or not you can stay in the facility. It's quite possible that you could stay in the facility fixing the mechanical portions that are wrong and not incur any of those costs. If you actually take that and deduct that out, then we're looking at somewhere between a $3 million project to bring it up to code. The rest of it is fluff. I checked into the sewer system, of course. I haven't seen the engineer's report, but there are processes widely used to repair the sewer system in place. They run a liner in there, they run a ultraviolet light in, and it forms a tube within a tube. The boiler, the heating system, of course, and things like that are done all the time. And the facility stays in place.
Yep.
And certainly the roof could be fixed in place. So, although the $22 million number looks daunting, when you actually do what has to be done, you're only talking about $3 million. I mean, is there logic to that?
Yep, I can speak to that. Actually, when we looked at the things, not just the boiler, but the piping also throughout the entire building and all of that, actually the where it's broken out and the cost reflected, it was between $6 and $7 million to get all of that done, where the boiler and its entire system would be complete. We actually we went to the USDA and asked for funding for a roof and for a boiler. And then we had an engineer come in, and we have a whole booklet report on the mason problems that are wrong with the building and the chimney and all kinds of things. And so all of those costs are put together within these numbers. And in talking to the USDA, they were the first ones to bring out to us, why would you want to get money to put into this old building? And funding for that is going to be very difficult. So they're the ones that actually suggested that we look at going with the option of new, as far as the reimbursements down the road for if you do repairs versus building new. It's all different. You don't get to, the costs aren't included if you're doing remodels, and you have different depreciation throughout the building. And
I'll talk about that later. So this mechanical and electrical number is not reflective of mechanical and electrical. So some of the other mechanical and electrical is within the architectural and the exterior. Could I see that?
Well, we have all the numbers broken down. This is the report that the fundraising group put together for like a general overall for the public to see the total cost of what some of those items would be. We can have that more broken out for you. The things that are in there that we determined probably weren't like the necessary items on keeping the building going was the remodel costs of like making all of the double rooms into singles and the wave of the future and long-term care and those kind of things. So those are the costs that would be above really what has to be done on the building. What we looked at was the 6 to 7 million. And even if it is 3 million, the USDA wasn't fond of funding a number like that on an old building to not have any updates or anything done and be able to provide additional services.
We're only trying to raise $5 million here from the public, which would more than cover this, which wouldn't incur any debt, which would get this facility going forward. The danger to this, to me, is that we incur debt, your projections don't pan out, and we lose the whole facility.
And to touch on that, actually, if we've talked about the services that we're currently able to provide out of our current building and the future of healthcare with reimbursement and what Medicare allows for, their whole outlook is that it should become more outpatient and less inpatient services. So they're doing everything in their power that we don't get to admit patients. One of those things is adding outpatient services, which would be something like a CT scanner or chemotherapy or things like that. Our current building cannot support a CT scanner. We don't have the location to put one in. Just updating the electrical system to put one in would be nearly $300,000, they said. So the ability to make our facility work for the future of healthcare, we don't feel is there. And we actually, when we looked into this and with Ide Bailey's help with reimbursement and how that all works, it's really a belief that within 5 to 10 years, if you fix this building, you're still not going to have a hospital and an emergency room in 5 to 10 years, because we're not going to be meeting the requirements of healthcare in the future. So you would probably be looking at having a nursing home and a clinic left possibly, and then the building that's sitting there isn't going to support a clinic down on this end and a nursing home down on this end. So in looking at more than just the numbers and the outcome and what our goal is for patient care in the future, that building just really isn't, it wasn't built for future healthcare, and it's not going to support colonoscopies, a very common outpatient procedure that we can't currently do right now. We don't have a setup that allows us to be able to do the pre and post and clean the equipment and all that kind of thing. We looked at that stuff for a number of years to try and come up with ways to do that.
So in order to do that, we need to spend $6.7 million on an architectural cosmetic remodel and $2.1 million on an exterior remodel and restoration. Now, the reasons you just named off have nothing to do with that $9 million in cost. And the rest of these costs are associated with moving out of the facility in order to fix the mechanical and electrical. What I'm saying is there's more alternative than $26 million for a new project or $22 million for fixing the old one. And to state it otherwise is not being fair with the public. That this happens all the time in public ventures. This happened in this courthouse. This happened in schools all the time. The reason to justify the new is to condemn the old, when that isn't necessarily the case. You're dealing with a public perception problem here. You don't get to determine what's best for the public. The public is to determine that. And how do you convince somebody that we should tear down something that most people think is a nice facility and just do away with that, incur a bunch of debt, put jobs at risk? Because if it doesn't make it, what do you do? I mean, is there a plan B if you can't meet your revenue estimates? What is is this all or nothing?
And I think if you look at that feasibility study that is in your packets,
There's nothing in there, and that feasibility study does not provide the underlying data to support a 50% increase in revenue for the facility. And when I read this letter that says, thanks to population and economic growth in recent years in Griggs County, that neither one of those things are true. Our population has been going down on average 23 people per year for the past 7 years, and if you go back further, it's a bigger number. It gets to be close to 40. So you build a facility that requires a 50% increase in income, and 15 years from now, we're going to have 15% less people. We'll have less than 2,000 people. I don't get it. So then this thing, to me, there's no possible way it can cash flow. It's $100,000 a month debt service. So then what happens? The USDA just walks away and Griggs County gets a free one, or what?
USDA is never repossessed.
That's the plan?
No.
The plan is to default on a $26 million loan.
The plan is to tell you, the commissioners, the truth, we're here too early in the process because we have not completed all our feasibility studies yet. We're moving this whole thing forward too many steps at the same time.
Because, I've been involved in a few things in my life, not a lot, but you don't do 4-year pro formas.
No, there's a
size project.
There's a examined forecast being done right now.
Okay.
That's not completed yet. The feasibility study with Da Vinci Management has not been completed yet. Da Vinci Management is the ones helping us to determine if it's feasible even to be able to raise $5 million in the community. We will get to see that report, their estimate of that, on the 28th of August. we're way ahead of the game and even talking to you folks about a lot of this stuff. As a board, we don't know if this thing is going to go forward yet. We're still exploring all the options on it. Because our option number one, okay, if we had our perfect world, we'd have a new hospital. If we can't have the perfect world, then we got to figure out how do we repair that. As a board, we don't know if this is going to go yet or not. That's where my timeline is we sat down at that all-day meeting, my first board meeting, we came up with 3 options. Either we say this is not repairable and we shut the hospital down. The boards felt that's not an option. Number 2, we look at repairs, and to bring everything up to the healthcare code, different things like that, what the information we've been given, it gets to be a lot of money for something that regulation might take away in 10 years. Regulation keeps changing all the time. In fact, the emergency shutdown, lockdown that happened last winter, they cannot comply with the regulation to lock down all the doors with a snap and have a person at every door. There's too many doors in that facility to lock everything down. And so stuff like that, the health department will start shutting us down at some point, is what I understand. And I've only been on the board a few months.
Right.
So I'm still learning.
Problem is those regulatory changes they'll affect the new facility too.
Yes, yeah, but you can build some of that in to the new facility.
Well, you don't know what the bureaucrats are going to dream up next year.
Right. I totally agree with that. You have to do it on the best knowledge you have now.
Right.
But these older facilities are harder to change for some of those rules and regulations that they keep coming up with. Just because the design was not designed for what they want to see in the future.
If you can second guess a bureaucracy, you're in the wrong business here. you better be selling stock for people, because you never know what's going to happen here. And again, in your own information here, $3 million to fix the mechanical part of this thing and go forward. You've almost got that much, I think, pledged money.
Yeah, the boiler we can fix, but we wanted to explore the option. Can we build a new one before we start sticking that much money back into it?
And I just want to correct Troy, this pro forma is only for 2 years. The last 2 years are when the payments for the facility start. The first 3 years, there's nothing.
The building,
yeah. So
and once you get to that page, then you go back to the back and you can see the debt schedule and the cash flow schedules that run out. So it will.
Current debt is $3 million.
Current debt is
$2 million.
Yeah,
$2 million long term, $1 million short. Or,
which part of it's the Citizen State Bank for repairing.
Yeah.
Before that would all get taken out as part of this new financing.
It's that's short-term line of credit debt, and you're rolling that into the long-term debt.
No, it's actually bonded debt, but we have nothing on the line of credit. But that'll get bought out in this new debt, so that all the new debt would be USDA, either 80 or 90% guaranteed, depending upon what they'd come back with, if they would even approve the project. And the rest would have to be.
So this would have to go through a financial institution. It would just be a guaranteed loan.
Well, 80% would be USDA, 20% would have to go through a financial institution of some type.
Oh, I see.
And the financial institution would have the first mortgage on it?
I believe so. However it works with USDA, I'm not sure how that
the way it works
works
is you have a guarantee, and as long as you do it, cross your I's and dot your T's, if the thing defaults, then you put in a claim and the bank gets reimbursed.
Mm-hmm.
How it comes out in the end, the USDA doesn't pay any of it out till the project's completely done. So the lender covers it for their first couple of years during construction, and then it all goes back to the USDA. They want everything available to them, which is why they are heavily involved in the application process. They see the feasibility study. They're waiting for the examined forecast. They're at the table for all the meetings. They're very involved in this. If they didn't think it was a go or had any concerns about it, they wouldn't be at the table with us talking about it. But we're finishing all that up, and I think a huge importance to explain is obviously with the situation the facility was in a number of years ago, all the changes have been made. As you can see, the financials have turned around significantly in those years, and unfortunately we were stuck with an old building that just isn't. I mean, the money we're putting into repairs is considerable. I mean, we're bringing money in, but we're turning around and spending it on fixing the boiler or every day there's pipes leaking. It interferes with patient cares. We had a couple of clinic rooms we couldn't use because we had things going on in those rooms. So we've not had the time to do what a lot of facilities would do with the strategic planning and getting the steps done. We've had to kind of go into it backwards, and the reason that we're doing that is because we do have a concern that the current building is not it's not going to last a long time. No matter, you can put money into it, you're going to continue to put more money into that same building and be spending your revenues on fixing up old things. The other thing that isn't in this number that you guys are looking at, it's based on our current volumes, which we anticipate we're going to be seeing more patients. We're going to have more outpatient services. Those numbers aren't in there, nor is an efficiency rating on what the new building will save us by not having all of our hot air going out the windows and those kind of things. So a lot of work was put into an engineer came in it was 14 or 15 and went through the entire building, and a lot of people's heads have come together on what the best plan would be for this. The board's put in many hours of looking, and so
one of the services Nikki talked about was the CT scanner. Right now, that's critical for any type of stroke or anything like that. We just looked at the transfers out in the past year that were critical, that if we had a CT scanner here, we could run those people through that CT scanner that have had to be life flighted to Fargo. That was well over $250,000 net revenue that would be added on to that. That's not included in anything like that. So
but they'd be transferred to Fargo anyway.
not necessarily.
Not necessarily. If it wasn't a complete stroke or something like that, they would probably be inpatient for a short period of time, or even outpatient, depending upon what the treatment is. But right now, we have no way of knowing that, so they have to be transferred right away.
Right now, every potential stroke patient has to be transferred out. With the CT scanner, we can scan that and we can see if it's a hemorrhagic or if it's a clot, and we can make the determination on whether you want to waste your time on that transfer. If it's hemorrhagic, there's nothing they can do. We can tuck our patients into bed and take care of them at home, and they don't have to be in Fargo to die.
So the equipment on the new building is $1.7 million. That includes the CT scanner, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And of that, actually, there's a grant available to us that they'll cover the scanner and part of the construction costs.
So let's get the cost over to the $3 million for the mechanical and the electrical, and now we're at 4.7. And now we've got one of the things that you need.
The building, right where it's at, you can't put a CT scanner in. We have no place to put it. There's no.
It doesn't take too big a room to do that. That thing's been remodeled many, many times. I'm sure there can be some space made in that whole block of square footage to put a CT scanner.
As far as adding on,
You don't have to add on.
Right, where?
There's well, to pick a place. I mean, take a couple rooms out of, if it is that important to the cash flow of the business, pick something that produces less cash flow and replace it with a room for the CT scanner. Look at this like a business rather than like, I don't think we're gonna get anywhere if you shoot at the moon. Why not try to keep this facility open as long as you can? Deal with the problems that have to be dealt with as they come up. That's the problem here. This roof issue hasn't been dealt with. And finally it got to the point where, well, we got to throw up our hands. We don't have the money to do it, so let's not try to get the money to do it for this issue. Let's try to conflate it into a bigger issue. Let's now condemn the building and say, because we have a roof issue and we might have, I should say, a plumbing issue and we need some work on the boiler, that the whole building is to be condemned. I don't see that happening in the real world outside of quasi-government. That wouldn't be what would happen if any of us owned that building and were using it for a retail purpose. We would look at it and say, okay, here's what needs to be spent. Here's how I can increase my revenues, and we go forward. And then factor into that now you're just talking about money. If your numbers are realistic, that you can raise money from the public of not incurring any more debt. And by the addition of the CT scanner, and you can still do the colonoscopies, increasing your revenue. It's a win-win.
And you're assuming maybe that hasn't been done, but these talks started in 2014 and 2015, and people have come in and looked at the building, and that's why it came to the decision of the board at the time that it did, is because those people have been brought in, and we've looked at different things as far as the people that help us with reimbursement and where things can be done, and with the regulations in healthcare, you don't just plop a CT scanner in the middle of a, there has to be places that you put it, and those things have been taken into consideration. And it was when we went to people to ask for financing that have done this in other places, they just don't see that it makes sense to do it that way. So
again, you're trying to, for the debt service that I look at here, if this is correct, you're raising your debt service by 400%. It won't even fit the parameters that the USD calls for length of debt service of 30 years. You have to push it out to 35 years to make it.
Yep.
There's zero room for error in this thing. One little hiccup in your revenue projections, and this thing is upside down. Now you have taken away any chance you have to go to the public for more money, because you've already tapped them out in their $5 million if that comes true. You have taken away any chance you have to go to a bank and borrow money, because now there is no equity in the facility. You've given the equity, even though they might not take it away, you've given the equity to the USDA. You've got yourself in a corner here where this has to work or the whole thing goes away. And I'm not willing to sign on and be part of that.
Well, there's going to be more information.
I know, but
yes. Yep.
Because we're as a board, we're not even to that point yet where we can say this is not going to work.
And I think what John is saying is we're not to the point where we're comfortable saying, yeah, we are in agreement and this is going to work.
Yeah.
Because of the information that I have looked at, I don't think is.
We need to see that examine
support
forecast and see what that looks like. And also we
doesn't that feasibility study
have to see that feasibility study
rely
from the
on
Da Vinci group to see what type of what can be raised.
on demographics and
Yeah, the demographics, that was one of the questions that we talked for a long time about, with the decreasing demographics here.
because that service area is mighty generous. If I live in Wimbledon, I'm not going to drive 40 miles this way when I can go 20 miles to Jamestown.
Right.
And now you know geometry as well as I do. You take 10 miles off of that 30 miles, all of a sudden that service area is a third of the size that it is on that sheet.
So that service area that was looked at, we do in fact have patients that come from those areas. And we maybe don't have 15 patients that come from Wimbledon, but we do have patients that come from Wimbledon.
But we also have, there's also people in Cooperstown that won't go to this clinic, and a lot of that has to do with provider turnover. Provider turnover is, you can't get providers to move into an old facility. That's one of the big things that we struggle with. I know Denny's been on the board a lot longer than I have, and that struggle has been ongoing. We have a new provider that's just coming on, and she was excited to come here because of the possibility of a new hospital.
In addition, that, one of the hopes that we would have in generating additional funds would be bringing in affiliate providers, specialists, and they're going to much more likely do that if they have good facilities to work in. That's just the way they operate.
Am I correct that the assisted living stays where it is?
Initially, assisted living it can be sealed off as a standalone building. So initially, assisted living was not going to be moved. There's space in the footprint that if this facility goes, assisted living can be put in one of a couple of different spots there, so that it would be close, but it would not be attached like it is now.
But
Part of the reason that is the...
So you'd have to build something else.
Yeah, you do, because they're not built under the same healthcare standards. They're built more like an apartment complex, so you don't want to roll that into the cost of your healthcare complex. You can put them up like an apartment building. And when it was built, it was added on. It has its own heating and cooling down there, so it's completely independent of the rest of the facility.
Boy, I got a mother down there that isn't going to like it very well when she can't just roll over to the hospital or roll over to see her friends that are in the nursing home and visit those folks, and I think that's going to be.
So what staffing and services would still be provided to the assisted living?
That is we would have to add an additional CNA to cover overnights and a weekend. So there are obviously some challenges in this for us as well, because we don't want to decrease the services that they're currently getting because they're living in an assisted living. There are requirements we have to meet. And the other thing we talked about is providing rides for those individuals to be able to get to the new facility for their clinic visits. Just some additional things that we could do. It's been kind of interesting in some of the conversations with the tenants that they're some of them not wanting to have to leave the facility to move to a new place because they like their home and their apartments. We have options of changing the license status of that so that we wouldn't have to, change the level of services if everybody was content with it the way it is. But definitely the plan would be to get it moved and attached then to the new facility when it would be there.
When I looked at your new plan,
But there's no plan to do that?
Yeah.
There's no timeline?
Like a date or anything? No, not at this
not
point.
a
We
date.
gotta get through the implementation of phase 1.
Okay.
when I looked at your plan, one of the first things that jumped out at me was the helicopter pad. Can you put one there on account of airspace with the existing airport? Where
Yep, and those are also some hoops that we have to jump through yet, but the plan would be that we want to have one on site, so they drew it in there so that obviously for patient transfers right now, anybody that comes in that needs to be transferred out on that helicopter, it's at least a 30-minute delay because our ambulance has to go out to the airport, pick them up, pick up the crew, bring them back to the ER, then it's all that, and the patient delay. And again, on a stroke patient or a cardiac patient, that's time is life. So the hope is that we would be able to put that helipad there so that they'd be able to land. And
won't the ambulance still have to move them, even where it is?
no. No, you roll them right out from the helicopter right into the ER and then you push them back out. There's a certain amount of space, obviously, that it has to be from the facility, but if you go look at, like, Jamestown, theirs is right by interstate where they land theirs, and they gotta, you just gotta take that patient outside.
But their airport's several miles from.
So the feasibility study that you're talking about is a feasibility study of raising the $5 million.
We have two
It isn't a
things.
feasibility study of the overall feasibility of the facility.
That's an examined forecast that's
Right.
coming out too.
Okay.
That's also happening.
Okay.
Both
Yeah.
are happening right now.
Okay.
Yep, good. Property tax, what will be the property tax status of this facility when it's done?
But we are tax exempt, so any specials or anything just like what we're currently doing.
And taxpayer participation, what's the projection for that? What is it going to be what is going to be the burden on the taxpayer if this facility is built?
The hope is that, right now there is a hospital district with a $5 mil levy. That, as my understanding is, it's just for the maintenance of the old facilities. And so if we would move, that would not move with the building, as far as I understand. Our hope as a board is that we could do this without hospital district taxpayer assistance going forward. I'm not going to say that that's a guarantee, but our hope is that at this point. Again, we need to see the rest of this information because we're not doing this on a linear basis that we should be doing. But our hope is that we're not doing that. There's some participation that we've asked for from the city. We're in different discussions there, so that would be taxpayer based because anything in the city would be taxpayer. But again, we're hoping not to. If there was a discussion that the commissioners would have and want to participate in it, we'd be welcome to have that discussion. At this point, we would like to do it without it.
So what is the participation asked for from the city? What in a dollar figure?
We'd talked about some substation, different things like that, just throwing that out. Nikki, you were at that meeting.
Yep, the total cost of the sewer and water being brought to the facility and some roadway things and all that was a total of $1.449 million, and we went to the city with a request of, I think, $679,000. So as far as bringing the water out, and a percentage of certain parts of that, which we're kind of waiting to hear back on that as well, but.
So they'd have
that's
to
good.
they'd have to have a bond issue vote to do that, right? Wouldn't they?
Yeah, they don't have the levy authority to do it within 1 year, so it has to be a vote of the people and then a bond issue.
If it's for, yeah. The other thing I know, well, I guess we've talked with them about is the opportunity for some loans that we know are available through like the Bank of North Dakota at lower percentage rates. And so obviously the impact to the people at that level would be it's not coming from us directly. We're obviously looking for the support locally of, getting the healthcare facility here, and I think people understanding that getting a new healthcare facility and assuring having healthcare in this community for the next beyond 10 years is important enough to get the support.
I wish you'd quit premising the fact that we won't have healthcare 10 years from now and we're enough to build this facility. That is not a given. And that's not fair, and that's not a fair argument to the public. There's nothing that says that if we don't build this, we're not going to have healthcare in this community. There's many other options besides what you've laid out here, and I relish a fair, open discussion. But when it's done with only two options here, and both of them, in my estimation, far more money than needs to be spent, I don't think you're doing the public a service, and it's counterproductive because the public is who's going to have to support this. You need people on board with this in order to use the facility, in order to generate the income that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So being open is a prerequisite. And trying to give an either-or determination, you either do this or you're going to get this, or you do this or you're going to get this, is not the way to do that, in my estimation. And I don't like being, as a citizen, I don't like being told that. And it sours me on the project, because I can see other options.
I think the realistic way that healthcare is financed and reimbursed, and not financed, I should say, but reimbursed in the future, if you do the research on that and the amount of inpatients that they expect that facilities will have, those numbers have already come down considerably over the years. So really in everybody's review of the project, and in even the experts that we've brought in, knowing where reimbursement is going, it is vital that we have a facility that is more able to handle outpatients. We have 10 rooms up in our hospital. They're all double rooms. You can throw patients in there, but you can't add those other services within that space or to make that work. Like, for example, colonoscopies. You have to have a certain clean and dirty, and we looked into the renovation to be able to do that. It's not that those considerations have not been made over the years, and that even included bringing in the providers that are willing to go out to facilities and do those procedures, where it's not set up. It was set up to be a hospital in 1951 or whenever that was.
I've been here my whole life, and I've watched this thing go through renovation after renovation after renovation. This memory loss part of it, it was at one time, it was set up for an Alzheimer's unit. This thing has been remodeled over and over and over again. This thing has went through financial trials and tribulations for the last 35 years. Each time, the premise being that we had to upgrade to so we could go into the future. Each time, some of those lasting only, not even getting up and going. There's no reason to believe that we have a crystal ball right now. The thing we do have, thankfully, is a facility that's functioning, that needs a little bit of work, that is in the black now. Why should we risk that? Secondly, I'm glad that you said that this decision doesn't need to be made now. The question is, why did you make some of these entities make the decision now without having all the facts?
With the financing, to even know if we need the financing they're asking for, you do not oppose letter. And that's what we came asking, not that you support it, you just do not oppose it. And that's what we were asking for today, to send in with the application to USDA to see if USDA will even approve that.
So could we see the guidance to the applicants from the USDA, set on the specific of what they need in order for that? I'm sure there's instructions for the applicants in the grant application.
Oh,
in the loan application.
Yeah, we have the checklist that shows the letters, and they even gave us the example forms to send out to all the entities to show that, and the letter kind of came from that. We can.
No, I mean this will be a pretty intensive
Well, we have the
budget
instructions for
paperwork,
the
that was-
application, yeah.
The
try-
application, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the application, the instructions to the applicant.
Yeah.
That'll be in there, and that will
Yeah.
specify that.
Yeah.
Could we see
And-
that?
And part of the, I don't have it with
No, I
today,
know.
but unless Barb happened to bring it up, but, part of the reason that we're in the stages that we're at is to put the application in. We found out that a lot of this stuff has to be done and put in order for them to consider the application, so,
By a
That's-
certain date,
yes.
otherwise we get pushed back a whole nother year before we can even consider it.
and so that's why some of it has been the tight guideline for, or the deadline from the USDA to try and get the application either approval or no for funding for this fiscal year. Because as everybody knows with the cost of construction and supplies and all that, they do anticipate that the cost of our project will go up by about $1 million if we don't move this quickly along and using the numbers that we have, which then means we have to go back and get a lot of this stuff done and re-spend money that we've already put into the project. So this letter was simply, and I think the letter, you know, it explains it just what it's asking for, and it says on the form that it's just that you're not opposing us going into this project. Not that you support it, that you don't.
So I'll get to see that language.
Yeah, we can bring you the application and directions, that's perfectly fine.
So if you're requesting the money, so in essence, if they accept it, this is going forward.
No, we need to see the feasibility first.
So that feasibility, you're only doing, only
$5
for raising the
million.
$5 million.
Yeah, because if they would come back and say that they can only raise $1 million, we need to rethink everything because we can't borrow that much money and support it.
No, but how about the feasibility for the repayment
Yeah,
of the debt?
That exam and forecast is coming yet too. We
Okay.
haven't seen that yet either. So
Okay.
that's still coming.
I would-
We want to come back to you.
I would like to see that.
Yeah,
Yes, I don't
We
feel
wanna go
very
back to,
comfortable.
that's why I started out,
Yep.
is we're here too early in our
Right.
process yet.
I agree with you, Mark.
We just haven't had an opportunity as a board to get all these pieces together. But being that there's some urgency from previous management consultants, we have too many of the same things going on at the same time and not in a linear fashion.
Well, you gotta understand, you're here too early because of you, not because of us.
No, I agree. It's not because of you folks. It's-
So, we're asking the questions that we would ask if you came here with everything prepared. You can't fault us for that. If you're here too early, then fine, come back when you have the
Yeah,
information.
and that's what I started with, is I wanted to start with the timeline since I've been on the board, and that things have not progressed in a linear fashion of how you would do it if you were normally sitting out here. Okay, 2 years now, 3 years from now, we should think about building a new hospital, so we have to go through step A, B, C, D, E, F, and G to get there. Well, we've got G, Z, L all going on at the same time as you got A and B going on. Unfortunately, that's how this project was started, and that's how when I came on the board, we were already all mixed up. So we're trying to move forward while still holding some of these pieces back, but there's a lot of requests, why haven't you met with these people, why haven't you met with these people? Because we
think
don't
that's-
have all that information
Yeah.
yet to provide to you folks.
I think that's where the urgency come in, everybody, because some of the information is going out to the public, and everybody's why hasn't there been public meetings, and we're trying to work with all the groups that are involved, and again, it's because of the current status of our facility. I mean, I welcome anything we sent out, come in, we'll show you around, we can show you what we're dealing with, you can visit with our maintenance department. It's not in good shape. It looks good because cosmetically things have been done, but it's not, I mean, there's lots of things that need to be done to make it.
I'll give you another number. The full taxable evaluation of Griggs County is a little over 40 million. And your project's 26. You know, 2/3 is practically the true evaluation of everything in the county that's taxable.
It's actually 30 million by the time they roll in the existing debt.
Yeah.
That's what the equity is. Again, I just see the mechanical and electrical, which is the problems you're talking about, the $3 million, and I don't see how we got to 22
And we gotta get you
million.
different figures on some of the other things instead of this layout, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I can only comment on what I see.
And I'm also going to comment too that the reason I believe that John is so passionate about this
is that his father was the one that started the first clinic in Griggs County, and his father put the first 25,000 in the building you're in.
Yep, yep.
So there's a little family history to it too.
Well,
And that's, I would be the same way.
well, on one hand, of course, you hate to see you lose the facility, you lose the services because there's a legacy there. But on the other hand, we could very well bring about its demise by going forward with a
Yes.
project that can't
Yes.
sustain itself. So that it's really a fine line here.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree. We're not sitting here that this is gonna be an easy bill. We're just sitting here, we're trying to move too many projects, too many steps in the project forward at the same time, when us as board members have not got all the information we need to even make that.
And we've been deliberating a lot, John, believe it. I mean, it's not been an easy discussion because there are so many unknowns. And but at the same time, we've got to remain competitive with the urban hospitals around us, or we're going to keep losing because they're growing, and we're going to keep losing people. If we ever lose this facility, you talk about out-migration.
Yeah.
People are going to migrate out of here.
I don't think anybody is opposed to the hospital. We all want to have a hospital.
Of course.
But we just want to make sure it stays running.
And we do too.
I think you do too.
Yeah.
I think there's a
Yeah,
greater.
so that's why we're trying
all
to
trying to
explore
work
the
together.
options.
Okay, let's look at this then from that point of view.
Mhm.
What is the biggest danger? How are we going to lose the hospital? What would cause us to lose the hospital? I'll answer it for you. Not being able to be financially
Pay the bills.
That's all the
able.
bills, number one.
okay. So that's the whole thing. You lose the hospital because you can't pay for the hospital. If you incur a whole bunch of debt and the projections along with that don't come true, you push that way farther down the road than if you just deal with the problems that are in front of you on a step by step basis. Keep the public coming along. Show the public you're making improvements as it comes along, and you'll have them on board, because you have to have everybody on board. And like it or not, over the last number of years, there's been a perceived staffing problem with not local staffing, but no one wants to go there and see one doctor this week and one doctor next week and the next doctor next week. And
We understand that.
and
we
so
don't
you
like
have to
that
build
either.
trust back, and it is trust. It isn't a Walmart. Because we build a Walmart here, we are going to be able to do more business in Annetta, who has just a hardware store. No one's going to stop in at the dollar store and say, well, as long as I'm here, I may as well run across and get a colonoscopy. This has to do with the quality of service and the trust and the longevity of the facility.
And part of that problem comes with having a facility like that. There's not an overabundance of physicians and physician assistants or anybody that wants to come here. Trying to recruit has been an ongoing struggle. From what I understand, you folks have been here a lot longer than I have.
And it is a problem for the public.
Yeah.
Of course,
I
yes.
mean, yeah.
We have a second-year resident that's going to be coming right now that's interested in possibly a long-term commitment because of the discussion of a new building. I showed him into our emergency room and he's like, okay. I mean, there is some definite concern when you have these practitioners come into a small facility and they see the ER that was made out of the laundry room, because that's what it is. I mean, I've been the nurse in there when there's been 6 patients and we have room for 3, and you make it work. So there are some things that efficiency and for us to be able to provide more and better services. That building is, I mean, our hope would be that building could become something else if anybody else had any ideas for it or use it. We've talked about some other healthcare means to do that. Other entities have different reimbursement for what they do and how they could fix it up. But it's not that we don't want to be there in that building. It's just that, landlocked for one. We don't have a lot of areas that we can go to. And I mean, those things have all been looked at, but definitely the providers. And in visiting with providers, that's something that comes up when we talk recruitment, is the potential of a new facility, and we're getting interest.
I operate in an environment where we have probably 150 qualified professionals to do 100 jobs. I'm in the federal firefighting, aerial firefighting business. I've never had a pilot say that he wants a new airplane to come work for me, he always says he wants more money. And I'm quite sure it's the same thing with any professional, that given the choice, they'll take the wage rather than the facility.
Although
It's nice to
John,
have both.
in medical care, you have a lot, the factor is that we have, with a lot changing technology
Mhm.
very rapidly to keep up with that.
Mhm.
It's a little different than probably an airplane. But that plus having minor surgery areas, other facilities that we can expand our services, I think, as well as continue what we've got, is going to be important. So,
Again, cosmetic remodel.
Well, but I
Yeah.
think the other thing that we have to talk about is our current long-term care facility. We have we have 17 private rooms, and we have nursing homes down the road that are all privates. And the last time most of these people had to live with somebody was either in college or with their spouse. And now the spouse is gone, and now we're putting them in a room with somebody that they don't like, or that we're making them go back to their college days, and we don't have the ability to fix that for them in the current facility. Even if we were just talking about remodeling to make our nursing home more competitive with Annettas and Macvilles and those kind of things, we don't know where we would go to make that happen. There's no space to, and then to move the residents. If you move your residents out to do some of this work, a huge percentage of them don't come back.
All your arguments are well founded, but the underlying factor is, can this be paid for? And it is a role, if it cannot be paid for, there's no plan B.
Mm-hmm.
If
But
you
we
build
don't-
this
we
and it
don't
doesn't
know.
cash flow, what do you do?
We don't know the answer to that, right?
I know.
So,
We
I
don't
think
either.
we're pounding on a dead horse
Yep.
here.
Yeah, we don't either.
So,
We've got too many things going forward at the same time. I just wanted to update you because we were requested to update you while we were.
okay,
Do you need us to, so we don't need to sign this paper now, or?
Do you have that, Nikki?
The letter of support is very important to us right now
Sure.
with our submission of the USDA application. You
Or a
can,
letter not to uphold.
yeah, letter. I mean, if you read the wording in it, it basically says that you're not opposed to, that you understand we're not asking for funds or anything like that. That is very important to us right now, that we at least get that, because we sent the application off in the mail, but those are pieces that can filter in after the application is in, but they need something by September 15th, because they make their decision locally, and then it goes higher up for the bigger decision on the application. So, and like I said, those letters are starting to come back to us signed, and so that's why we're here, is just to ask for that. And we'll come back with more answers.
So you send the application and they approve it and the project goes forward.
We do still actually have an out with the architect that says that the project can be canceled at any time if there's any step in the process that would cause concern. It's not like, you know.
I haven't seen enough information to give me comfort level to do that. I mean, it's more than just a we're not opposing. This is a certificate of significant community support. So, not there.
See, once that's signed, you have no reason to come back to us.
Yeah, we do, because we need you're
Yeah.
a big part of the community. We need your
Correct.
support. So yes, we do have a reason to come back. We don't have a legal reason to come back to you, but we have a moral obligation to come back to you and talk to you about this.
You know, and so you already admitted that you put the cart before the horse, but now you're saying, well, because you did that, we have to abide by that. Yeah, I mean, you already said you shouldn't have done it, but now that you've done it, we got to go forward with it. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I understand.
I mean, using your own analogy, is that you shouldn't be here yet. If you weren't here yet, we wouldn't
Well,
have to
and I
consider
think
this.
again, that's because of the timeline that we're coming up against with the USDA and the application. There were things put in place that actually initially we understood that we had through November to put the application in, and then when Barbara and I started doing some work directly with the USDA, they said, no, you really need to have this to us, all your documents by August 15th, including our financing. So we actually have the financial people that we've got things kind of ready to roll there, that have looked at our financial. There's people that have looked at our financials and the future of this, and we have those people are interested in working with us. So it's not like we're coming to the table without other people having looked at our numbers and the outcomes of where this could go. Those steps have been taken, and that's why we're at this
And
point in the
even with that,
line.
it's really reliant on that audited forecast. Everybody's
Well,
relying on that.
Which the approval by the USDA does not get done until that is into them. So, but they're working on that while we're working on this, so.
So there is some time then,
Yeah.
because, so there is some time then, because.
The dates I
we
just
don't
gave
need
you
audit
are the
until-
very final dates that they will, it has to be to the local, she told us by September 15th, so she can move it on.
So we'll get to see the audit forecast, because that's what's needed, and when we see the audit forecast, then I would make a decision on whether or
And
not.
the
I sign
audited
on.
forecast, they're planning to have that done by September 15th, so
Right.
same date.
But that isn't today.
No, but
We meet every 2 weeks.
yeah, so if the audited forecast is done September 15th, and that's the last day we have to get it to them, we'll be back, like this again if we still need that letter. I mean, that's
Are
just.
you guys pushing this too hard? Maybe you should be shooting for next year.
And we very well may have to move it to next year. That's where.
It seems like that we're trying to put a square peg in a round hole here.
No, where the problem comes, Troy, is how much do we have to put back into the building if we're gonna build a new building? So we wanted to investigate the whole thing, because at some point, we just gotta stop.
I get that. I
start
mean,
fixing that.
that's a balancing act too, but
And that's a balancing act.
And that's the boiler, which is the major project that piecing that together to keep that going is a struggle.
We thought it was gonna go down last winter.
Yeah, and that's that's huge for us. So there are some pressures that you guys don't feel that we are when that boiler goes down and we have to figure out how we're gonna keep everybody
Because if
warm.
we put a new boiler in, then this project is gonna have to, it's either stopped or
Yeah,
we can't go forward, so we feel a little time crunch. Okay, we have to get this investigated because we got an either or decision coming up,
right. Okay.
and that's why we're here.
So, we'll get to see the,
As soon as we can get it.
Okay. Well, thank you for giving us more stuff to chew on.
do you guys want those books?
No,
You wanna keep one?
I don't need the
maybe
facility
keep one on,
book.
maybe keep one on file with.
Yep, you
Yeah.
can keep that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
This one?
I got one.
Oh, you already got one?
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. I got an email from Stacy Arstead on the listing on the old social service building uptown. Her listing is gonna expire and she doesn't have any offers on the table right now. She had somebody look at it over Cooper Days, but didn't make an offer on it. So would you like to have her drop a new listing agreement and have her keep trying to find somebody that's could make use of that building?
Yeah, sure, as well. Do you need a motion to do that?
Sure.
I'm also move.
Been moved by Mark that we continue listing the old social service building uptown with Stacy Arstead Realty. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Stacy had another request in here, or she said, is the old courthouse in good enough shape for the Arts Council to use for a little fall concert? Would that be something we could do? I mean, as long as it doesn't need to have heat in it, because
You
it
drained it.
doesn't. But
Are you on the Arts Council?
No.
Oh,
On the city council.
okay. Well,
All the
you can
pipes
do
have,
both.
Larry, you on the Arts Council?
all the pipes have been
As long
drained
as
too,
it's
so then they
insured,
wouldn't
yeah,
have
for
the
use
use
and it's ADA compliant.
facilities.
Pardon?
I think that we have to make sure that it's still continue to be ADA compliant and it's insured for use for liabilities.
right. Well, it's insured under that, that's for sure.
It's State Fire and Tornado insures
Yeah,
the building.
They insure it.
The only questions that I have is that the pipes are all
They
during,
wouldn't have
there's
any
no
bathroom.
water.
There would be no bathroom facilities, but they could come over here if it was during the day or
Yep,
whatever.
yep. The chairlift doesn't work, so if elderly people want to go to the concert, they can't get up there, and that's a lot of flights of stairs.
And there's nothing,
And
there is no chairlift upstairs to the courthouse anyway.
there's an elevator, but I'm
Is
not
there?
sure of the condition of that. That I was never in charge of. Any
There's
of
still
that.
there must be power in there.
There's power,
So the elevator probably still works.
and
Yeah,
but
I
then
think the
there's
elevator would, but they would have to get up to the main floor of the courthouse to get in.
right.
Might have to come in the front door. So.
And then the sound system and all that stuff was taken out, so there's wires hanging from the ceiling. So those were just the things that we thought of.
It's their building.
Mhm.
Maybe you should call her.
Okay.
Does anybody have any heartburn? And tell her the way it is. I mean, she should come over and walk up there and take a look at it. Maybe they don't want to use it
Okay.
if there's stuff hanging out of the ceiling.
You can really go back in time, this is the way it was before you had ADA.
Well, and I don't know who attends their concerts, so I mean, I don't want to make that decision.
That'd be
It's
kinda
up
neat.
to her. Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool.
I'll give her.
Okay. Games of chance permit.
There's two of them.
See that? Titan Elementary Football is going to have a raffle. Or wants to have a raffle.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Titan Elementary Football permit and also the Sutton Senior Centers.
Maple Lutheran Church.
Oh yeah, Maple Lutheran Church. That's the Sutton Senior Center.
Been moved by John to approve the local permit or charity local raffle or permit for Maple Lutheran Church and Titan Football. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 2019 budget.
Excuse me, Troy. Was there anything you wanted from the council, or was just for when the
Just so
hospital's here?
someone, just because someone listened in and
You want our council?
do you, I mean, I mean,
What do you guys?
yeah.
We talked about it, then Diggy told us about through the Bank of North Dakota, that there was a 1% loan. We looked it up a little bit, and it's a 2% loan. Application will not be out for a couple months to even at least start the process. So we haven't done anything. Nancy?
Can I speak?
Oh, you mean the city would be the conduit?
All right.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Talked about.
So it won't be available. The legislature has to approve monies to go into this again
Okay.
in January. So it won't be, you can't even get an application in probably till July, excuse me. And so you wouldn't get any funding probably till fall of 2019
Sure.
on this infrastructure revolving loan fund that she was talking about with you.
Okay, we didn't hear about that today.
And it's
So-
a 2% loan. They were advising that this was something we could get,
In one amount?
whatever you apply for.
Oh,
you know.
up to them, I'm sure.
Oh, that's where they wanted the 1.5 million to come from.
Well,
Or 600,000.
around
Oh,
700,000
okay,
from the
okay.
city,
Okay.
trying to help us along to find funding for it.
Oh, for the water sewer.
for infrastructure only.
Yeah.
She thought there was a 1% loan available, but that is not available to cities. It is available for buildings, like a hospital building. They could apply for it.
Oh.
But they want,
That's a smaller amount available through
Okay.
that. The legislature approved this 2% one that's available to cities. Like a year ago, that funding has been used up and they just haven't specified more funding yet. I believe the initial one had 100,000 specified for cities of 5,000 and over, 50,000. I'm saying 1,000, excuse me. 100 million specified for cities over 5,000. 50 million was specified for cities under that. So we would fall into that category. Should it become available again? Should we decide we want to?
Loans.
Pardon?
They're loans.
Loan.
so they want the city to service the debt, or they're gonna do?
670,000 of it.
Oh, okay.
So that would still entail a vote
That's
of
what
the
they're
people
asking from the city.
to do that. The city can't be obligated to debt over 1 year unless it falls within within the confines of their budget. So that would take a vote of the people.
I think, right?
Yeah. I believe so.
Unless I suppose if you could do it as a lease or something
It's a
like that.
30-year
then you
loan,
can-
you could.
I think that they're right. Without researching it, I would guess that would be just like any other.
I mean, I don't know how the cities work. If it,
It's whatever we choose to build, because, you know, it could have been some other sort of business building it where you
Sure.
can actually get property tax, and that would be the reason for annexing in and putting the infrastructure out there, hoping, oh, then another business might build to the south of them, and, you know, you're increasing your city. So we don't have to take it to the people, but it's where we pay for that loan.
No, it's the fund, if
That comes in.
funding for more.
Don't you have to
outside of
go-
1 year's budget has to be voted on by the people, because this current city council or county commission only has the ability to put that funding within 1 year's budget. So if you can't pay for it over 1 year's budget, if you can't levy that money, then it has to be voted on by the people.
Any bond we get for infrastructure, fixing infrastructure or anything, you don't go to the.
that doesn't have to be, that's
You
interesting.
just get, you have a bond and you're paying on
You
that,
have
you
more-
pay for 20 years, 30 years, some of the bonds we're paying
Right.
for. It's different.
You have more latitude than we do.
Keep fixing streets and.
Well, if it's wrong, I mean, that's the way they've been doing it for years and years.
Well, I don't doubt that one bit, Paul.
If they have the ability to do that, there's still going to be mill levy limits as far as.
As I said, that's where it comes in. If you have the ability to pay for it in 1 year, it can be done that way. If you can't, if it takes multiple levies, it can't be that way. Otherwise, why would there be a vote for anything? You just go bond it. This courthouse would have been built without, well, it was built without a vote of people, but it wouldn't have had 3 votes. They just would have bonded it. And then that's the way.
You can keep this, Johnny, but copy that one.
But, I mean, that's for Jamie to research, and that's for you guys to decide.
Yeah, it's
Well, I'm not
not our
That's
concern.
Phyllis's job.
Yeah, that's
not
ours.
That's the discussion that has come from the hospital
Right.
towards us.
what kind of
That kind of takes away the statement that it's not gonna affect the taxpayers.
That's right.
Well, that's what Rick says.
Just, well,
it's
just
tax
depends on
dollar
what
money, you know.
what we pay the loan off with.
You only have one source of
No, well,
revenue.
we've got 3 sources. 2 sources would affect people in Cooperstown, but sales tax affects more than just Cooperstown, people from out of town.
Still
So
money
our
still money that could go somewhere
revenue
else.
is sales tax, property tax, and utility.
Yeah, but it's still paying for a project without the consent of the people that are paying for it.
That's not our concern.
No, but I mean, it is.
What kind of mill increase or what kind of mill levy would it take to service a debt of 600,000 over? 20 years or whatever.
Well, we're paying
For city.
31,000 a year.
25 mils,
25 for the city?
something like that, maybe?
That's
Payments
31,000 a year.
like 33,000 a year, right?
What's a mill worth?
Payment 31,000.
A mill's worth about just a pinch over 3,000 in the city, is that right? I can't remember.
I can look at it real quick.
Where's our tax guy? Did he step out again? Yeah. Is he hiding behind the chair? Yeah. So on a $100,000 property, 25 mils is X amount of dollars a year? Do you have an idea what that would be? How that is calculated out?
What did you say Mo was?
I think, I shouldn't say.
I thought
I'm
they were,
trying to find
I
it
thought they were
real quick.
1.9.
Where's the mill sheet at? Look at the true and full value of Cooperstown. I think it's $30 million or something, or, no.
I think taxable valuation is 1.9, now put them at 3.8
I haven't.
full
I'm not-
true value.
I sent an email to the lady at the needs attorney to see if she can point me in the direction.
I don't know why I thought it was 3,000.
So mills worth. Yeah, I think 25 mils were real close. Yeah. But I don't think anybody's opposed to the hospital. We all want to see it succeed is what we want. Yeah,
How are we gonna pay for it?
that's exactly right.
Mm.
That's exactly right. And yeah. My question was this at one time, just a little quick poll. How many of us in the room use the clinic and hospital? You? How many of you use it? If you're sick, where do you
I'm
go?
never sick.
Yeah, you know, so you only got maybe half of the people living in this room that use it.
Well,
You know, they probably do have room for expansion then. If they could get another 25% of the half that don't, you know.
And so then they're going through the
Yes, you
borrowing
get a
zone
levy
for
for a
the,
municipal band.
Sure.
to borrow the money for the
No,
land.
that too.
Oh.
I thought it said bond, but
For that,
No,
so
no,
it's like
band.
They're going two different ways where it's really tough to follow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
valuation of Cooperstown is 1.8 million.
That's that's taxable,
Yeah.
not true full. True full, I think you double that, so.
So a mill is $1,800.
Yeah.
So that would take 40, 50 mills.
Round off to 2,000, we need to rate 30, you know.
At 25 would be $50,000.
I mean, somebody might notice that.
Somebody might.
Yeah.
Put it in real small print in your statement.
Really small print?
I mean, all this is good.
Just
If
saying.
the people wanted to vote for it, more power, that's good. But because this thing has to be supported by the most people we can get to support it,
Yes.
Okay.
the more open it is, the better off everybody's gonna be.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit torturous to admit that maybe some of these numbers are bent a little bit, but maybe you gotta cut back somewhere. But it's gotta be out in front of everybody. Because the consequence of getting this wrong is the demise of the facility. It's gone.
Yeah.
There's no plan B, it doesn't make it, it's gone. And that can't happen.
No.
Well, you know, and I don't know the numbers, they're gonna bring them to us, but say it, probably 1,000 people in the county that are over 50. How many colonoscopies are you gonna do a year? Are you building a factory that only needs to run for 2 days a week? That is not gonna work. If that's the case, I don't know the numbers, but I'm just saying, maybe we shouldn't have maybe we shouldn't do those here. Maybe we don't have enough population to do that.
maintain services as they are, kind of, don't add
Seems like we're holding on, kicking and screaming.
a lot of expense.
So,
Why
Like
not
Nikki told us, there's
build
98
where they
MRIs that
are?
they send out every
Add
year.
on. There's little houses to buy, there's little
See,
nothing. Why are you spending so much money?
I don't know if you're here.
is that a lot? I don't know that, Rick. I don't know the deal.
I don't know if you're
I
here.
don't know.
Well, they know how many they
know.
transfer out.
What's that?
They'll know how many they transfer out, they're sending them.
No, but
And the ambulance knows because they make the
They're so
transfer.
expensive
Yeah.
because of all the
Right.
application.
Here's the number it takes to remodel what we have. This is just for the restoration, exterior, here's for cosmetic remodel. All these numbers are when you move over the facility.
I just don't know
And the
what I
plumbing can
don't
be
know,
done
and I don't know much.
With the plumbing in place. So
And-
there's the
and-
pond, there's the roof.
It's
the
kind of
boiler, the
amazing
plumbing.
they're this far in this operation as they
And-
are.
They're probably gonna have raised.
They don't know much
They don't
either.
have
That money's
any
probably already been
studies.
published.
Well, I know
We
for
met
a
with her
fact
the other
that
day
I
for
know
the city and
what
talked to her, and like we said too, it would've been nice if Rick had said too, was that
And here's, and here,
a year ago,
and here's,
2 years
and
ago,
here,
instead of
here's
what
for the
the
new
city
one,
helped us
here's the
with
equipment.
until the
Here's the
last
CT
minute.
machine, here's all the equipment.
Well, I
1.7.
don't
Besides
think there's any
1.7,
possible way they can get this
it's
done.
$4.7 million.
I don't know why they're
We
trying.
should get paperwork done.
It would go easy. We wouldn't miss the facility. The facility is making money now.
Oh, I thought she said 15.
15 September.
September, but the line to get the stuff was
There's
So
room.
add on,
15.
add on to the end.
You know, I don't
Move
even
the
know if they
people
should
there,
have, that's not
then remodel
realistic.
the old back into single rooms.
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just-
I always
There's
think about
one,
how the
two,
school.
three,
You know, I think about my
Second
furnace
time.
equipment in the
Wants it in
wintertime,
there,
but it
she
doesn't
never put it in
consume.
No.
Got people involved,
So the one
Now,
house
our
that you
boiler
want.
got all the employees behind
It
it.
might not.
But, okay,
It might
go the
just
other
walk
way.
around.
How about they keep the street? They already own
Oh.
Are we in
one
recess?
house, empty
We
lots.
could be. You want to,
Well, I mean, we're kind of
You make a
trail here. I thought
you want to take a break?
Maybe we should.
Half a block
Okay,
plus the
got a
street.
motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
It's been moved by Mark that we take a 15-minute break.
Anyhow, it seemed like we're.
Motion carried. Meeting back to order. 2019 budget.
The budget that you have in front of you. Today's the last day. We need to get this finalized as a proposed budget. So if you want to just go one by one, we can do that.
Did you fix all those things, Ron?
No, I'd like those to be fixed here in the meeting, please.
So you have them where? You have a list of them or something?
I do. I have the list that Ron sent.
How come you broke it?
Excuse me?
How come you broke it?
I didn't break it. I swear I did not break it.
Well, I didn't.
When he says that the formulas were deleted, I did not delete any formulas. I would
No, you
not.
don't. Deleting a formula in Excel is
I didn't
only
type.
takes type
the-
over the top of it.
No,
That's
the
not-
formulas are locked. They are locked. And in my spreadsheet, they are a different color. So I know
Oh, okay.
when they are there. I'm not putting fault on Ron at all, but I think he might have missed putting the formulas in that page. But that's,
Don't matter.
yeah, it's totally fine. I can switch those
Well, the formulas are in the page you sent you.
in the page that he sent me.
Right.
Okay.
That PDF, if you open that up, that one's correct.
Yep,
That's
yep.
not a PDF. It's a
That's if you guys approve all of these changes.
Excel, it's an Excel, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else for me today?
No. I think so.
All right, thanks guys. Have a good weekend.
So did you print out those changes, or you know those changes?
I have the
She's
list.
got a list.
Okay.
I have the list.
So you want to do them first, or you just want to go through the budgets and bring them up as we get to them?
That's totally up to you of how you would like me to proceed
It's up
forward.
to you.
We can go through these changes right now so that we just get them out of the way. We know, then we don't miss one while we're going through. Ron had said on page M1 to get the estimate mill value to $20,413.81. The reason that I say I don't think we should do this is because there was talk that one of the utilities might be incorrect between county to county. They could have got some values incorrect. So then if we do have to go back and switch those, that switches the taxable value, then we have the exact rate here. I mean, that's totally up to you.
What page is on?
M1.
Estimated levy value?
Yeah.
So you're talking you're $413 different?
One. Right.
But if there's a mistake somewhere between the counties and we have it too low, we can't raise it, can we?
No. So maybe we should put it higher?
So he said he thought we should have it at 20,413.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't we be
Maybe do it 20,500. Higher.
utilities don't really pay property taxes, do they?
No, they changed the value of
Taxes, or they pay what, something in lieu of.
taxes in lieu. Yeah, but it's like the railroads, the wind towers, all those have the utility specials on them.
Oh, I see.
And then that would change your taxable value of the county. That's why I wouldn't give you guys a taxable value, because it was way out of whack before I got the utility specials in.
But see, Ron's saying we changed it on 15D to $20,413.81. That will also change the county road, historical, the senior citizens, and the fair.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But if we make it at the exact taxable value of what I'm estimating right now, then we're going to be off too if I have to go back and change anything.
Do you think it's going to be exactly $20,000?
No.
That's what you got in there.
Estimated, yeah.
No, I that was just an estimate. That was what was in here before I got anything else done. I only made the changes that you guys asked me to make.
Right. Now he's saying he thinks it's going to turn out to be 20,413. Right. What do you think it's going to be?
That's what I think it should be.
Oh.
But I'm saying I don't want to make it exact.
Make it 20,500. So if it comes out at extra $30,
then it's going to cut me off at that max mill
cut you
anyway.
off at where you are, where you're estimating it at.
Am I making sense?
Yeah. Well.
Because if you want to keep it at this exact, because that's what our TXTOT report says, that a mill is that the taxable or that a mill is worth right now. But if there is a change in the utilities at all between county to county, whether it be lower or higher, that's then going to change this number. And if we go a little bit higher, then I think we're covering ourselves. For senior citizens, those people are at that exact mill, then it will cut me off at 4 mills, even if we're estimating a mill to be too high. And we levy too high.
We're just estimating in dollars. We're not estimating in mills.
Mm-hmm.
Ron's taking into account that this is a final number. It doesn't have to be the final number. He's saying if it is $20,413.81, then the county road will increase by 12,000,
mm-hmm.
historical by 103, and so forth.
Yep.
So he's saying as if this is the final budget, it really isn't the final budget.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
So we're too low right now.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So we have to put in something higher.
Mhm.
Where that is, doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but I think just as we use estimates, this is an estimate, I think we have to use the best estimate we have, which is why Ron recommended $20,413.
Okay. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't. She's right. It's possible that it could come a little bit less if the mill levy is a little bit less. But again, we use it. This is an estimate, and we have to do that, and that's why they give us that estimate. So I would recommend that we use that number.
This number, okay.
The dollar number in the budget's going to drive the mills, other than those
You
fixed
use less
mill
mills
ones.
for, yeah, if it's worth more, you use less.
Unless the budget is unless the budget is
X
less.
amount of mills.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I said, unless it's a fixed mill deal.
Yeah. So that one's right.
Okay, so I will go and change that right now.
Because I think the VEED gave us just about that same number.
Yeah, I just figured it offhand the way we always did, and I think it's going to be a little higher than that myself. I think it's going to be in the 450 some range, 450, 460,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
You want to estimate that higher?
No, leave it where Ron said.
Okay, okay.
Again, that was the estimate that the state gave us, right? Or the
No, that I computed.
oh, okay.
The state hasn't done anything with their stuff.
Okay.
That's with David putting his stuff in and me putting mine.
Yeah, then leave it there.
Yep, okay. So that one's done. On page M1, I also added the value of Cooperstown and the Griggs County Library District mill value. The formula on E2 of the library should have the $18,553.44 mill levy value, using four mills against to reduce the library district amount by $5,786. Okay.
Where'd you do that?
I haven't done that. I'm
So
just reading Ron's thing here.
It will, because it was allowing the library to receive more than their share when you figured in the mill for the 4 mills in the county against the mill levy in the city, right?
The library is the city minus the
Yep.
population of Griggs, or the city. Yep.
So it's going to reduce the amount of money the library is going to get by $5,700.
Okay, so I gotta. Okay, and then he has page B21 DES still looks like it wasn't updated. I'm not entirely sure what he means by this, because it's in the general fund. You guys wanted it to be exactly what last year's was, so I'm not sure what he's meaning by updated. When I look, all the formulas are carrying through.
Oh, because we used the exact same numbers as last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's why what he means, and that's fine.
Okay, so we're all right with that. Okay. B23 courtroom grant, the old description concrete KLJ flooring would probably be deleted. I can go ahead and clean that up if that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
and that can be changed to, up on top, it's going to be
B23.
expenditures, and it can be changed to future grant. Something like that.
Okay, and then I'll just, that really didn't make any change to anything, so.
No,
Okay, so we got that done. C9 permits. Most of this could probably be transferred to the general fund if you want it to.
it's dead money right now. And there's nowhere, it only has an inlet, it doesn't have an outlet.
We'd start a grant program.
Hospital's looking for one. C9.
C9. I'm not sure what the legality of transferring that money into the general fund. I'm not sure if that's something that can be done.
No, I think he means the whole thing.
Yeah, the
Permits into the general fund, so it's liquid.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that 29,000 can be used in.
So would you start in the general fund, then would have one that says permits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then that fund balance is in the general fund too.
Right. That's what
Yep.
he wants.
Yep.
And I agree, because it's of no use. What do you spend it on?
Is that able to happen? Can I check with Jamie to make sure that that's able to happen to transfer into the general fund?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can and you can. But yep, check with him.
That's Jamie. Okay. Okay. C11 is the clerk of court. This one I did change because the copy that I had sent to you guys we do not have to pay job service for elected officials. And so I left out retirement instead of job service. So that has now been corrected. All the way the salary has been corrected and all the way down. I've looked into it.
Mm-hmm. Wonder why that is.
I think it's because we can't apply for any job job service if we're unelected.
Unemployment.
Yeah.
Unemployment if nobody wants you to have the job anymore.
So that's elected officials are exempt from job service. So
Probably the same as being fired.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so C12, did you look on the? See, Ron sent you the updated with the formulas back in it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So did it change those numbers then? Did it change that $125,000 number?
I don't have that one up. Hold on one second, please. This is a lot easier if you have a mouse, not like a.
I don't have a mouse.
I should get one.
I did for my laptop. I don't like doing that.
I hate this thing. But usually it's just I'm doing minutes, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so C12.
Well, there must be a mouse laying around here somewhere.
Have to find one. Ask Travis. Okay.
I bought the bank, I guess, bought a little cordless one, and then you just plug into the USB.
Mm-hmm.
I went and checked cows the other day. Still don't have anything with any hoof rot or anything or any pink eye.
Wow,
I got a
good for you.
calf that he got a rear foot and he walks on this way. Did he tear a tendon? Did he? I don't know.
I bet.
It's not swelled up. Usually calves don't get hoof rot or whatever.
No, I've treated 2 of them.
Have you? Would that be it?
No.
It isn't swelled up if
No what?
Those numbers did not change.
Okay, so
From what I
because
have
you didn't
to run.
you didn't download the file that Ron sent you.
I do have. Yep, I have it on my desktop in my office,
Okay.
and now I just have it open right now.
Okay, so but it will change when you input when you run
anything
it
you
through.
give them
Should.
1.1 cc's per hundredweight.
When I run what?
Give him a couple.
It's wrong. She's saying that the formulas are deleted and replaced with typed in numbers. So
Well, I
the
buy
the
3
number's
cc
wrong.
darts
in
and
there.
10 cc darts, and I give the 10 to the cows.
No, they're
and
the same
3
as
to
what
the
Ron's
calves.
got.
Is that what you
My ending balance of C12 911
Oh, it's the same as
expenses.
Ron. So it did
Yeah, it
get
does.
updated. Okay.
Huh?
Ed does.
Well,
Ed.
my numbers
You
were
were
the
saying.
same as what the
Oh,
formula would
really?
have got.
That's where you get them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the updated
Where you been buying
spreadsheet
them?
he sent you has the formulas back in it.
Online.
Okay.
Oh.
So that'll work again.
You can do that too,
Okay.
but it's
Takes a longer to get them.
pretty easy to run down if
So now
Absolutely.
16B.
C12. I don't see that he's got those. Oh no, they're in there. Okay, yep. Sorry.
Yeah. So
I was clicking on the wrong
okay.
ones.
No. Okay, that's done.
Yep.
16B. Your numbers were quite a bit lower than
16B, that's social services. I don't touch them. They bring the budget the way that they want it. I don't. That's how I work with.
Okay, so it doesn't make any difference anyway because it
That's the
doesn't
state.
affect the overall levy because we're capped at the 350.
Yep,
right?
whatever number she gives me, I put them in there. I don't do
We're
formula.
not levying for the social services anymore.
No.
No, we're budgeting for them. Yeah.
So I don't touch them. Next one, C26 County Agent Special Funds, still no 2019 budget. I never got a budget from Megan. If you guys want to add that in, that's completely up
For
to you.
what?
County Agent Special Fund,
Special fund.
C26.
It's got a balance of $511.
C26.
That's assuming that we don't levy anything, and we don't give it appropriation. Give it a final appropriation of $511.95.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay for everybody. Did that then. Leafy Spurge, he's on page C30. Leafy Spurge, you may still want to transfer the balance to county weeds so that Leafy Spurge can be closed out. And there's a balance of $1,415.38 in there.
Right, so that balance then would be transferred in this year's budget, not in this budget here, but it would be transferred.
This year. That's what you want to do?
Well, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud.
Yep.
Let's see. Carry over weight.
If you wait, it won't affect the levy.
Right.
Right. So do it in this year's in this budget here, then it won't affect the levy.
Okay.
Right.
Transfer in of, okay,
Where's it going?
weed, right?
And weed is in the general?
Nope.
No. And we're not levying for weed?
Nope.
Okay, then it's fine.
Okay. $1,415.38 out. Weed out. And in. Okay, got that. Page M30, there's not an M30. I added clerk of court. These numbers are a good ballpark check to see if about 300,000 and retirement about 200,000. I'm not sure what page he wanted me to look at there.
Okay, so what he's trying to do, he's trying to determine
Is that M3?
what percentage of salary is actually benefits and taxes.
Oh yeah, so it's M3
Yeah.
that it would have been,
Yep.
not M30.
So he put the clerk of court in there now, and then
Just for a good check for me.
that's a check, right? Yep, that's
So that doesn't affect anything for you guys. It's just a kind of a check for me. So
right. So then you take the total of that, and then you figure the percentage that you know to be how much we pay for every dollar we spend. For every dollar we pay in a wage, how much, and then you put those two numbers against each other.
okay.
That's a check.
Yep. Okay. Page B22, B25, C6, C8, C17. All these are blank for all years and could be deleted. I did not delete these because I did not want the spreadsheet to do anything funky to me. I left them.
So see what he's talking about. I don't think it can be done yet because they have to be inactive for 3 years.
3 years,
Right.
yep. And on the 4th year, then they can be deleted.
But I don't know about a 16. Maybe they were inactive in 16 too. But it won't hurt to leave them there.
That's what I thought. It won't hurt us. I'll
But
just leave them.
That's what he's talking about.
Yep. So I just left them. And then B6, I changed the 2017 transfers into a formula. The numbers were typed in and would result in a probable error for next year when typed in numbers would not have gotten adjusted. So that doesn't affect anything. That's the same numbers. So those were Ron's changes.
And that's why what he's talking about is when we originally decided to transfer those monies, it was in the middle of 16 and we didn't know what the transfer was actually going to be. So we're transferring now the actual audited number.
Correct.
For 17,
Right.
which is different than what we anticipated.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So those were the changes that Ron wanted to make. So we went through those. I would like to bring up a change that I made because I made a mistake on the state's attorney's budget. That was B11. On his salary, I gave him a 1.58% on top of his requested amount. So I gave him a double raise. And so I did, that's what's on your budget right now. I have changed it in my spreadsheet to reflect the right numbers.
Was there collusion or conspiracy involved?
No. No.
Deal fell through.
Jamie's going to be very upset that I said anything.
Is there an email trail?
So what's his total number then?
The final amount will be $44,918.94. I then changed...
That's going to change everything a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, because then I changed the reserve number to reflect that.
Upwards.
Yep.
Yep.
So that it then levied out to zero, the net zero increase. So then that reserve then went to $339,177.19.
The general fund reserve.
You were correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So we can go through these one by one if
No, I think
we're okay.
Should be good, no, aren't we?
Well, we went through them, but nothing's changed since last time.
No. Well, whatever's changed was.
We're gonna levy exactly the same as we levied this year, right?
Correct. In the general, overall levy will be the same. That's right. And we have reserves in place. We have emergency funds in place.
Okay.
I think there's always going to be changes in this thing. It's nothing that's going to get out of hand.
This is going to be what's going to be in that estimated statement to
Correct.
those taxpayers. So.
Right.
Yep. This is what goes in the paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's not actually Century Code to put it in the paper, but I would like to put it in the paper. An email went out to all the county auditors, seeing if they were going to. Some counties are going to put it in the paper, some aren't. I just think that it would be beneficial.
We're kind of in this disclosure here in Griggs County.
Make sure that it's noted that it same taxes as last year.
Right.
Nothing changes.
On county's end.
On the county end, yeah.
So we're good with the budget then?
I make a motion that we accept this as the proposed budget going forward.
With the changes that were made.
Yep. The changes incorporated. Yep.
Thank you.
Been moved by John to approve the proposed budget as amended. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, time clock, and that's probably not the right terminology, but so every once in a while I get a call that blah 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 doesn't spend enough time at work or whatever. So would it be too much to ask if the elected officials like you and Connie and fill out a timesheet and provide it with your monthly office reports? That's too much to ask?
I can talk to them.
Just so I can say, well, yeah, they were on vacation.
or they're using.
And the social
sick leave.
services is gonna start punching a time clock, and that's part of the reason, isn't it?
Just because I get a call every once in a while.
Yeah.
I got a call one day, and people see a snapshot when they drive by the courthouse. They don't know if it's like that all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they drive by there at the same time every day, and the same thing is, they see the same thing, then they assume that that's been that way all day.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when we had a farmer close to Finley that if he drove by our crew and they happened to be standing there talking about how they're going to do something, then he just assumed that they stood there all day and did nothing.
Yeah.
And then he,
Well, you didn't work for the railroad, did you?
no, well, no, I wasn't on the crew. I wasn't on the crew. He come into the office and complained to me that them guys are, all they do is stand around. So if we had some kind of a little record, at least I'd have something to talk about. Because I don't live here. I mean, I don't bird dog you guys.
I mean, I don't think you've got nothing.
And I ain't gonna.
Their work is getting done, they don't have to be staying.
And even when I worked for salary, I always filled out a timesheet. Because how else do you keep track of vacation and shit?
So,
Sick
at
leave.
one time, I think there was a time clock, correct, Mark?
Well, I think they discussed it.
Okay.
I think they discussed it. I don't think they ever got that far, but I think they did discuss it.
When his dad was on the board,
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
You guys had discussed it a few years ago, too.
We did.
Yep.
But, and I'm not advocating that we do that, but you guys must have a timesheet everybody else fills out.
We have
So
blank
that-
ones.
Yeah, so that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, so you can
if
keep
everybody
track of
filled
sick
one
leave
out,
and-
so that if somebody asked me a question, I'd say, yeah, it's in our monthly office reports.
Right. And it doesn't necessarily have to be when she's in the building. They can do work outside the building and still count as time towards their job.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But only she knows that.
Yeah.
And if she shared it with us, then when people ask me questions, I could answer them.
Right, but that would be, so again, if, just because you're not here doesn't mean you aren't doing county business. So.
Right. No, exactly.
How long do we take for lunch?
An hour.
An hour?
Yep.
Is there a chance that we wouldn't have to close the courthouse for that hour? I know, like Kelly at FSA, there's only two in there.
They stagger.
And they just stagger, one goes and because I would think there's quite a few people working that maybe get a noon break and would like to come then, or?
I think they tried that a few years ago. I can't remember. Like, I think it didn't really
Never
make a
really caught
difference.
Always
So-
the wrong offices with them.
Yeah, I suppose.
No, but everybody's got a
a deputy.
See,
Yeah.
Like
a lot
when-
of people go to work before this place is
Yeah.
open, and they work till after it's closed, and they don't have, and it's
Yeah.
closed at noon, and they only have a half an hour at noon, they don't have the time to get here. I don't think that's a bad idea.
I don't think that would be. I mean, something to talk about.
That's how we do it at the bank.
You know, even if one person was there to cover, just to leave a note and say, so-and-so stopped in, here's a number, could you call them, they had a question on this, or whatever business they have to do.
I
it'd be more.
think before we moved in here, I think the master plan was to have somebody sitting at a reception desk or something. Wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
And that didn't happen.
Sure.
So now I don't know. Did you guys try staggering lunch hours since we moved into the building?
No. It's been before I started, so.
But what would be the downside to that?
I don't.
Well, and I mean, there's going to be times when Sam's by herself, and she'll have to lock the office. But what I was going to say is, in the old courthouse, you guys were so separated from each other. That was a little different layout than this deal. So I think Mark's got a good idea, or at least something to discuss.
Needs discussion.
So you can talk about that with the rest of the girls too.
I think it would be something that would probably be pretty well received by the public.
I believe so. And
It's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
New courthouse.
It falls, yeah,
Time
courthouse or time clock or whatever you wanna put it on.
And just because it doesn't get used that often doesn't mean it isn't a worthwhile service.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't inconvenience.
It doesn't really negatively affect anybody, so. Okay. New courthouse, old courthouse?
Oh, we were gonna try to find somebody to speak to, you know, DeVito was gonna do that. Are we still looking for somebody to possibly investigate that, or?
Jamie was gonna do that.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay,
If I remember correctly, Jamie was gonna look into what we needed to do to start the process.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Future business. So, do we want to talk about timesheets and staggering lunch hours
Yes.
at the next meeting?
The other thing, at some point in time, I'd like to discuss a little bit, I've talked with Dale about it a little bit, is having a speed limit of 35 miles an hour on our county roads for loaded trucks. I think we'd save a lot of gravel on with these semis. I'd probably get the first speeding ticket there is. But I think it's a lot of wear and tear on our, you know, they were built for single axle and tandem trucks. And at some point in time, whether it's December, November, next meeting, we could discuss that a little bit.
If somebody's out enforcing it, it'll do some good.
That's right, that's right.
That's,
I talked a little bit with the law enforcement, and they thought that wouldn't be the worst idea in the world either. It's something they can do without new equipment.
Somebody might make the argument that we just upgraded our roads to 104,000.
Oh, man.
I mean, not that we advertised it, but we put gravel on for it.
Yeah. You can put the gravel on the top, but it's only as good as the base.
well, that's when these trucks are rolling down a road. You know, my road is a haul road a lot of times, and they always want to haul heavier loads. And I think that's better to go heavy and slow than to go more trips. I think it causes less impact to the road.
Something to talk about.
Speed is a bigger thing than weight, I think.
Yeah.
Especially now when it's not mushy out. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I think we better sit down with Wayne and have him show us his plan for when these new blades get here and how we're going to have those territories set up and who's gonna run them, and they're coming pretty soon.
Right.
And sooner than we think.
And you know, it's possible that we lost 2 more townships, I believe.
Sounds that way.
Oh, really?
3 more. Rosendahl.
And 2 to the south in that corner.
No, 2 more besides that. Bartley and Helen also, I believe.
Oh, that's right.
That's 4. So the 4 to the south.
Yeah. Possibly. That was, I don't know if that's true.
I've heard the same thing.
And Wayne was one that told me.
Yeah.
So that's 5 townships.
Yeah.
Good thing we all got 3 blades.
It'll be also.
Yeah.
Well, what comes to my mind, if those townships are gonna hire a contractor to maintain their township roads, would it make sense for us to hire the same contractor to maintain our roads since we have less blades?
If we would have planned for that, but we've got enough blades to do our work now, so it would just be an added expense.
Yeah.
Because
we're gonna have one more operator than we have machines here next month.
Well, we're probably not gonna have to be able to have that.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that's in the plan. I hope that's in the plan. I mean, we need to see how we're gonna.
Okay.
How we're gonna handle it. Yeah.
Put that on next agenda.
I believe so.
Okay.
Get this discussion started.
Yep. Anything else?
I make a motion. We adjourn.
It's been moved by John to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, aye.
Motion passes. Meeting adjourned at 3:25 p.m. August 10th. Next meeting will be the 24th at 1 p.m.